All right, so here we are. Hey everybody, it's Rebecca from Revenue. It is season 2, episode 1 of the Revenue Rundown. I don't know where 2019 went, but here we are. It's 2020, and we are going live from the Municipal Services Building in Center City, Philadelphia. It's January 10th. So it's not too late to wish everybody a Happy New Year, a happy tax season, or at least a very good tax season. As you can tell, I'm really excited about some of the stuff that we have in store this year for the Revenue Rundown. We'll be going live every Friday through the tax season. This week it's 1 o'clock, next week and thereafter it'll be 2 o'clock. We had kind of a conflict on our side on the timing, but so this week it's 1 o'clock. But we will be talking to all kinds of smart folks about taxpayer assistance programs. We'll be talking more about taxes. We'll be talking more about like water affordability. And I think we're going to have a few episodes completely in Spanish. We had one last year. This year we hope to do a few more. So estén atentos, por favor. And so even though this is our second season and our 16th episode overall of this kind of experimental project, we still think of it as an experiment. So if you have comments, questions, there are topics that you'd like us to cover, maybe locations you think we should visit, we want to hear about it. You can put that in the comments of this video. You can also just send us an email. You can also message us on any of the platforms that we're on, at Filler Revenue on Twitter and at Filler Revenue on Facebook. Facebook, which you already know that because you're watching us. And the big thing is, if you're watching, to please push that like button and please share to your own networks. This is part of this experiment, is trying to get the word out about these programs. They're crucial to protecting vulnerable Philadelphians and everyone in Philadelphia. But ideally, what we're creating is a library of resources that folks can use, especially those who work in the community, or maybe they're a church leader, or maybe another government employee, or a staffer who just wants to understand more about the programs. What we want to create is a resource for you to come and learn more about what is happening here at the Department of Revenue and what programs exist to help taxpayers. Okay, so we'll get down to business. Today we're talking about delinquent real estate taxes with Deputy Revenue Commissioner Marco Muniz. Marco, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank
I'm
you
also very excited to be here.
I know you seem it.
It's on the inside.
Yeah.
You're
much more.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Happening.
That's fine. Before we get to our talk, I do want to mention one thing about extended hours. So that's kind of a tradition here. Starting February 3rd, we will start extending hours here at the Center City location, at our Center City office on in the concourse of the Municipal Services Building. And for those of you who don't know, that is 1401 JFK. So we're basically right on the north side of City Hall. It is a busy day down here in the concourse today. I don't know if it's because we're doing it at 1 o'clock versus 2 o'clock, but there's a lot of things happening. But just to make sure you know, starting February 3rd and running through the tax season, running through April 15th, we'll have extended hours in our Center City location. So we'll be open Monday through Thursday, or 30 to 7, and also Saturdays 10 to 2. And you can call us at those times too, and wait times are much shorter than if you call at peak hours, which are in the day, usually in the mid-morning to mid-afternoon.
Right now.
Right now, actually. You can tell it's a peak hour right now because there's a lot of activity happening down here. So we'll have another episode about what happens at the Municipal Services Building, but for now, we just want to make sure you know about extended hours. And okay, so now we'll talk to Marco about let's talk about property taxes.
Okay.
So we know that there are some people, even though we dispute it regularly and try to get the word out there, we know that there are some people who think that Philadelphians don't pay their taxes and that the city doesn't really do much about it. I mean, is that true?
It's not true. It's that pesky perception that's been out there. I've been with the city for 15 years, and it's something that we keep working on to show by our results that that's not the case. And when we talk about our results, specifically in the year 2018, the last we actually collected 96.1 of the real estate tax that was billed. Which is an all-time record. I mean, when we talk about 15 years ago, we were in the high 80s, so we've made a great deal of improvement. So that means 96% of our taxpayers are paying in full, on time, We want to say thank you. We want to commend you for that. That you're doing you're fulfilling your responsibility as a citizen. That means only 4% is not paying on time.
Right.
So I mean, we're making a lot of progress. So that's not true anymore.
So why should people care about? About paying their property taxes in full and on time?
Well, there's different reasons. I mean, if you're as a city resident, which we all are, the real estate taxes are critical for city services. For every dollar that we collect, 55 cents of every dollar goes to the school district.
Every dollar of real estate tax?
Yeah, every dollar of real estate tax that we collect, 55 cents goes to the school district. I have 2 little girls. They're not of school age yet, but that's a comfort knowing that we're funding our schools to that degree. Then the other 45% go to the general fund, and they go to fund equally important, essential, and things like police, fire,
right.
Parks, streets, all the things that contribute to our safety, our quality of life. So we all benefit from that. Now, from an individual perspective is, if you don't pay, it has real consequences to you if you don't pay. So there's a tangible benefit to all of us if we pay, but to those, the 4%, the vast minority that do not pay, there are consequences to not paying.
Right, and so thank you to all the folks who are doing the right thing and paying. You should have gotten your 2020 tax bill in the mail already. That's due February. I'm sorry, you can get an early discount if you pay by the last day of February, but that's due March 31st. And so we'll talk a little bit more. Let's talk more about deadlines. Mm-hmm. You talked about delinquent accounts. So if you miss that March 31st deadline, what happens, and what does that mean in terms of enforcement?
Okay, so to put it in context, let's look at last year, right? Because for the 2020, the March date is still, you still have time. But if you didn't pay your 2019, let's go back and see what happened, right? So let's say if you didn't pay 2019, then by April 1st, your account is overdue. So then now additions start to be added to your account for until the end of 2019.
And additions are an added cost.
It's an added cost.
It's a 1.5% increase to your bill every month.
Right, and what happens is at the end of the year, so then at the end of 2019, all of those additions then are added, they're capitalized, so they're added to your principal, now it becomes part of your principal. So that whatever your bill was, now it's increased just by that. Now on that date, a few other things happen on that date, if you were delinquent. So at that point, you become delinquent. That means that interest and penalty begin to accrue. Penalty accrues for the first 8 months of that year. Lien fee is added to the account. That's over $90. Mm-hmm. Also, attorney fees are added to the account, which can go from 6% to 18%, depending on whether we assign your account to a collection agency. So I think it's helpful, and I have a little sort of an example of a bill just to see what the real real life consequences of that would be. So let's say you had a $1,000 bill for 2019 with the additions. Right? If you paid that bill on time, you paid $1,000. If you don't pay your bill on time, on January 1st of 2020, you have $90 added to that, $91.45 actually. Then let's say that your account goes out to a collection agency. That's $196 added to that. Now you're up to $1,287, right? Then let's say that after that you don't pay on time, you don't pay the collection agency, now your account goes to sheriff's sale. That's one of the other consequences that can happen. In addition to all these extra costs, the property could go to sheriff's sale. You could lose your property. Even if you didn't lose your property, you can have title search costs added to your account. You can have advertising costs added to the account. But by my tally, now you're looking at conservatively $1,787.
So an additional $700.
An additional almost $800. Yeah, and I'm not even counting the IMP.
Right, interest and
penalty that continues to accrue. I'm just saying this is the minimum that would be added. If you didn't pay on time, it became delinquent and it went to sheriff's sale.
I mean, so if all of that was kind of hard to follow along, we did put together a really great flyer called Understanding Philadelphia Real Estate Taxes. This is a great resource. It has a timeline of when things are due, what happens in the period when a bill is overdue, and then what happens in the period when a bill is delinquent. And my favorite thing about this flyer is that you turn it over and it's 100% in Spanish. Folks can download this if you go to the real estate tax page on Phila.gov/revenue. It's down at the bottom in the other resources. we've got a link to some other resources. And this flyer is meant to be printed on tabloid-sized pieces of paper. So if folks want to print something like this for their constituents or for their offices, just be aware of that paper size. And we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you to share this information. And one thing I did want to mention, like if folks who don't know what a lien is, there's a lot of technical information. This includes some really great definitions for things like that. So like a lien is that's the Spanish side. A lien is, a legal claim against your property, and that basically if you're going to try and sell it or do anything with that property, there's this little like warning alert that pops up and says, oh no, you have to deal with this lien. Like you have to deal with the debt that's associated with that property before you can sell it or refinance it or do anything else with it. So it's to the taxpayer's interest to make sure that gets handled as quickly as possible.
And if you own more than one property, it also, not only does it impact that property, that lien prevents you from refinancing on another. So it has a lot of consequences to you.
Yeah, and so if that was all kind of a wake-up call to someone, which I hope it would be, because it's serious business, and we're serious about finding folks who aren't paying their property taxes. The good news is that we make it easy to pay. Do you want to talk about some of that?
Yes. So, when the number used to be higher, meaning that we were collecting 88%, now you're looking at 12% that we had to go after, so to speak. But that number is 4. So then that's we're going to be we'll be able to bring enforcement to your door. So it's
literally
important, absolutely. So with that in mind, we've also made it easier for you to come into compliance. Because we want you to, whether you pay in full or you enter into a payment agreement, you're in compliance. We don't have to devote our resources, our enforcement resources to your account. We can devote them to so that we make it not a matter of those who are unable to pay, but we go after those who are unwilling to pay.
Right.
So that we've created a lot of different payment plans, and the one that I want to highlight today is the owner-occupied payment agreements, and that is an income-sensitive payment agreement that is available to anyone who owns their property and lives in the property. So if you own your home and you live in it, then you're eligible for this. And it's based on your income, so it's based on your ability to pay. There's different tiers. There's 5 different tiers. If you're in tier 5, you could pay 0. If you're in tier 4, you could pay as little as $20-some per month. So they're all based on your ability to pay. So we meet you where you're able to pay.
Right, and part of the reason for that high collection rate of 96.1% is because we've increased enforcement and we've gotten serious, and the word's gotten out that we're serious. But we've also balanced that out with some really great assistance programs and a more of a safety net for folks who struggle to pay their bills. We know that there are some bad actors out there who can pay and do not, and then we also know that there are folks who really struggle, and we want to make sure that we catch those folks before their bill gets out of hand.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And if folks just want to, ideally, someone will just pay in full, right? And we make that pretty easy, right? Like you can pay flier.gov/pay. You can pay by e-check. That's free. You can also pay us over the phone. The number is 877-309-3710, and we'll be posting all of this in the comments as we go. It's also on the contact us portion of our website. There's a big crowd here behind us. So you can also pay by check or money order. You can do that in person or in the mail. And but you want to make sure that you send us a payment coupon. You don't want to just send a check to us because we don't know where it's supposed to go. So if you're going to send us a payment coupon, and we'll again put this in the comments, it's Department of Revenue, P.O. Box 8409, Philadelphia, PA 19101-8409. So, like I said, we'll put that all out there, and a big shout out to Michelle in our office who's putting that stuff all up for you. And again, so we have UPA, the Owner Occupied Payment Agreement, is a really important program that helps homeowners get into compliance.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of other programs which we'll be talking about in other episodes, things like the Senior Citizen Tax Freeze, things like the Long-Time Owner-Occupied Payment Agreement, that's LOOP. Also, if you own your home and you don't have homestead, you are missing out on about $629 every year. So make sure that if you own your home, you know that you got homestead, you can look online and see the status of that. And really, and as I was saying earlier, the key, we believe, the Department of Revenue is committed to helping folks get into compliance, especially those who are struggling to pay. But the key is that folks reach out to us if they are having problems. The second that you think you're going to have an issue, or the second that you have a friend or a neighbor or grandmom or whoever it might be, the second you think they might be having a problem, reach out to us. Email us at revenue@phila.gov or call us at 686-6442. We can talk you through some of the options that are available, and we want to make sure that you get the help that you're entitled to.
The goal is not to sell properties.
That's absolutely right.
The goal is to, to give taxpayers an ability to enter into an agreement and to get into compliance. So it's not too late. Once you're, I mentioned these points, these deadlines, but you're able to, you can make an agreement. It's not too late, but it's better if you act quickly, because with the UPA agreement, there's some amount that can be taken out of your account. Some of the interest and
right.
penalty. But once it goes to share sale and attorney fees get added, some of the expenses, you're going to get time to pay that over time. But it's not. But those amounts will not be forgiven. The lien amount will not be forgiven. There are some amounts that once they're on there, you'll get time to pay it at an affordable rate. But it's not going to be forgiven. You'll have to pay it eventually.
Those are fees that come to us from the court.
We have to pay we have to relay that to the court.
Right.
We can't waive that and so forth. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you talking to us today,
Thank you.
Marco.
Thank you for having me here.
I have one last thing to talk about, and that is where you can see us in the community this week. So part of this is also to let folks know where we're going to be if you want to talk to us in person. We will talk to you about an owner-occupied payment agreement all day if you want. Last year we did 340 in-person events in collaboration with community organizations just like yours. So if you would like us to attend your event and either speak or maybe table or provide information about anything, we are ready to do that. You can reach out to Vicki Riley, that's VICKI.RILEY @phila.gov. She will take those requests and get them scheduled. But this week we're going to be in 3 places. Tomorrow we're going to be in West Philadelphia at the Get Your House in Order event. That's at 52nd and Whitby in the Victoria Christian Center. That starts at 10 a.m. We'll also be at the North Philadelphia CDC on Tuesday, January 14th at 6:30. That's at 2332 North 15th Street. And on Thursday, January 16th from 5 to 8, we will be at the Broad, Germantown, and Erie Task Force Resource Fair at 3600 North Broad Street. That's the Zion Baptist Church. So if you, totally encourage you, come on down, get some really cool swag, because we always have really cool stuff, really cool giveaways. Say hi to Vicki, say hi to Michelle and the whole team, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions in person. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.
Bye.